By now, you've probably seen the really viral story of little Jimmy. He's a middle schooler in Huntington Beach, California, and he was running for commissioner of school spirit and patriotism in his school. His principal didn't let him give the speech because it was too patriotic, and she wanted him to remove all mention of patriotism, and he refused, and he was forced to sit there humiliated watching his other classmates give their speeches while he was not able to give his. And I get to talk to Jimmy today and his wonderful parents. So Jimmy, you're like famous. How does that make you feel?
It feels good.
When you wrote your speech and when you filmed that video, did you ever think that millions of people would see it?
No, I thought it was gonna be like maybe a couple locals, maybe got out to the other public schools, but I did not expect this.
And are you happy with these results?
I'm happy with the results, but the best result I could get would be being on student council and saying my speech.
So tell me a little bit, what's the position called, and what is the position, and why did you want this position?
This position was Commissioner of Patriotism and School Spirit. So I was in charge of pep rallies, school spirit, service projects, and then history related projects, whether that was my ideas like meeting Holocaust survivors and stuff like that.
And why did you want this position?
It was the closest position to president, which I wish I could have ran for. And then I got to I had ideas for like the Holocaust survivor stuff, 9/11. And so that all fell under the Commissioner of Patriotism.
And of course, we all know your speech ended up causing a lot of controversy. So tell me a little bit about the actual speech and then what happened after that.
So we got a packet with all of the stuff and the guidelines. It didn't tell us, it actually said nothing of what not to say. The only thing it said was to not put down other candidates.
And they told you that it should be about like patriotism, right?
Yeah, so my position was Commissioner of Patriotism and School Spirit. So I wrote about stuff regarding pep rallies, service projects, and then I was supposed to write about patriotism, obviously.
And you did. I mean, I watched your speech. Your speech was incredible. It was very patriotic. And then from what I understand, the principal had an issue with that. So what's the process for getting your speech approved, and what happened when you showed the principal your speech?
So the election day was Thursday. So I had to do it before Thursday, or I had to turn it in on Wednesday. And so I turned it, or I didn't actually turn it in. I just had to add the teachers. So I added on the Google Doc, I had to add the two teachers that were in charge of student council, which were Miss Bruno and Mr. Napoli. And so I added them, and then they added Miss Flock to approve the document. But it wasn't until before baseball practice, a little before 5, that I noticed that she commented earlier at 3.
And what did she say?
She said, I have to keep in mind that my audience was 4th through 7th graders who do not find interest in patriotism, and that I needed to remove that section. And then she also told me to remove my slogan of Make SBS Great Again, because it was putting down last year's student council, although again means it already was.
Yeah, I agree with that. So she found the patriotism very offensive. What were your thoughts when you saw that?
At first, I thought like this was ridiculous. So then I went right into, I wasn't going to remove this, but then she edited it later that night at 10:52, saying that I still needed to remove it all.
And you said you didn't want to remove it, right?
Yeah, so I went to her. She's like, do you have my speech? I need to revise it before we put it in the book. I'm like, I have it right here. I did not remove the patriotism part. I revised it. And she's like, you don't understand. The people you are speaking to are fourth graders through 7th graders. I'm like, I have known about patriotism since kindergarten. And even if the student body doesn't know about patriotism, that's why I'm speaking about it, because I want to teach the people.
Yeah. Jimmy, you are so patriotic. I'm just wondering, where does that come from? Where'd you learn this?
My family, whether it's from my grandma, it's to my aunts, to my parents, I've always had patriotism. I've been a president every single year for Halloween since kindergarten. The only year that I skipped was obviously during COVID. I couldn't dress up, but we still have photos of me in patriotic stuff.
So Jimmy, you actually ended up sitting up there with the rest of your classmates, and you had to watch them give the speech, and you weren't allowed to give yours, right?
Yes, and as much as it was embarrassing, I felt like I got to at the same time see all the support because I could see my past teachers, my sister's teachers who had tears in their eyes. So I put on my Make SBS Great Again hat and I held my poster up there while I had to watch an hour's worth of speeches that weren't mine.
I'd love to talk to your parents and get their perspective and reaction to this story. So, Hattie, like, so all this happens. You were obviously outraged. You post this whole thing on Facebook. Did you think that this would happen? And what's your reaction to all this?
I definitely didn't think this was going to happen. I thought that I was going to share it with our community and I was going to get some support from the community, and I did. And now it's just has gone farther than I could have ever imagined. And it's nice to know that Jimmy has support, and that a lot of people think what we were thinking, that she should have never done what she did to him. And as a parent, it's, one of the worst feelings is seeing your kid being hurt or humiliated and not being able to do anything about it. And so for standing there, I was there for an hour, just standing there, trying to make eye contact with him, just so he would know, like, hey, I'm here. It's okay. I did really, really well at keeping it together and not showing like how sad or upset I was until parents came up to me and just were giving me hugs and saying, we support you. At that point, I completely lost it, because feeling the love from, your community and our school and everyone that we're around, and knowing, okay, we're not alone in this. And so it really, that has been the strength that has kept us going.
I understand now that the principal sent an email after, and there's also a petition to have her removed. So Ed, can you talk a little bit about that? Has the school said anything since this went viral in the last day? As a principal contacted you guys?
No, they didn't really even acknowledge any of our emails or anything that we sent until basically it got on Twitter. When it all happened, like Hattie said, it was just us protecting Jimmy. As I walked up, I saw him, mouthing the words, "No, I'm not going to take this part out," and I don't think she knew that I was approaching it. And for whatever reason, I don't even know why, but I videotaped about 9 seconds of it, of her reading it, that you can clearly see her reading it, pointing to the paragraph that for him to remove it. And then, that's kind of when everything started. Jimmy walked up on stage. I talked to her in private for a little bit and told her how this wasn't a joke. His words aren't offensive. They're completely relevant to his position. And then the police officers came. I explained to them this entire story, told them what his speech was about. They acknowledged, like, I understand why you're so upset. They told me that I'm more than welcome to stay and continue watching. And then when they left, they actually said, make sure you tell Jimmy thank you for putting that part about us in his speech. St. Bonaventure as a school is great. Their idea of how to go about teaching the kids was 100% about the kids. We just hope that the church does the right thing.
Yeah, that's important context. Like, you're happy, it's a good school, you're happy with the school, the community loves it. Seems like there's just one woke activist there who's causing some of these problems. So Jimmy, before we end off, what is your message to America, to anyone who's going to be watching this?
Love your country, respect your country, respect the people that fight for us, and yeah, I love America.
Jimmy, you are so courageous and brave and strong, and I'm sure you know this, but I'll just say it again, that we stand with you. America stands with you. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.